Welcome to Category Visionaries, the show dedicated to exploring exciting visions for the future from the founders who are on the front lines building it. In each episode, we'll speak with a visionary founder who's building a new category or reimagining an existing one. We'll learn about the problem they solve, how their technology works, and unpack their vision for the future. I'm your host, Brett Stapper, CEO of Frontlines Media. Now let's dive right into today's episode. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Category Visionaries. Today we're speaking with Harry Croydon, co-founder of MIC Global, an embedded microinsurance company that's raised over $13 million in funding. Harry, how are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Good to meet everybody. Hello.
Yeah, super excited to have you here. So I know you've been in the insurance industry for quite a long time. So what I want to start with is asking about the evolution of insurance and technology since you got your start in the industry in 1999.
Yeah. So when you cast your mind back to 1999, the internet had just been invented. AI was for boffins somewhere. Mobile phones were sort of penetrating a lot of the world. Some people had dial-up still. This is the state of the world in 1999. But, people like Amazon had been invented. So, there was a lot of companies around that are very big today that are just sort of starting out back then. And insurance, when I got into insurance, I got into a thing called cyber insurance, which is the internet risks and all the things you get on when you buy things for online and all that stuff. But back then we called it insuring the internet is what we thought we were doing. So this is how I got into insurance, because I knew a bit about insurance because my technology sort of background. I knew a little bit about technology because of my technology background, and I knew very little about insurance, but I met somebody that knew a lot about insurance, and we started this sort of insuring the internet thing. And because I had a technology sort of base, I thought, what we do is we build a website, put it on the website and sell it to all the people in America. And when we went there to sell it, amazingly, nobody could access the website. They all wanted it done by fax machines. So we've gone from this sort of fax era and telephone and posting stuff in the last 23 years to actually doing things online 25 years later. So, it's been quite kind of a ride for me, at least, going from trying to tell people what the internet is and how you can email a policy or automatically generate one to people just kind of accepting that that's what you do now. And it's kind of right there and everybody gets it on the phone and nobody thinks that's particularly clever anymore, sort of thing. So yeah, it's evolved a hell of a lot over the last 25 years.
There's a super funny video from the early 90s. I can't remember. I think it's Katie Care, someone like that, some famous broadcaster, but they're like debating what the internet is and like the @ sign. They're like, yeah, it's like an A with a squiggly line. And like no one can explain the internet. And it's just funny to watch people struggle with something that obviously became massive, but they just can't even try to convey what the hell the internet is even back then.
Yeah. Now, I used to do conferences and things. We had this little video. It was back in the dark ages, like a video, a little skit, if you like, of showing somebody explaining to somebody what a book was versus a scroll and trying to work out how a book works differently to a scroll, which was very much like, how does the internet work? It's just like getting used to it. How does a website work? And what is the intranet? And what is an intranet? Like, what's the difference? That sort of thing. So yeah, a long time ago with all those changes.
I see that company, Safe Online, you had to ride there from 99 to 2006.
Yeah.
What was it like building in that time? Because when did the .com bubble blow up? Was that like 2000, 2001? So you
2001.
Through that, navigated through that. What was that like? Take us back.
Yeah, so that was a very interesting time all those years. So we would be invited to these .com events and you'd have little badges put on you and people would be desperate to sort of give you money and explain your idea to them. And it's really, really quite crazy. People literally chucking money at you and wanting to do things. And people sort of saying crazy things to us. Like we would say, we want $2 million. And they would say, well, that's not enough. What about 30? What would you do with 30 million? And we were thinking, what do we do with 30? We had no idea what we could do with $30 million. So things like that was kind of quite crazy. We did get funding through that time. And very interestingly, we also closed a round, I think it was in June 2001. And trying to track down the actual VC with the money was quite hard at the end, because they had promised to pay for it. But of course, the bubble had burst and they didn't want to pay the money anymore. And we had to track them down to get the money off them. So it went from literally chucking money at you to having to track them down inside like a year. It's kind of quite difficult. But yeah, we did 2 rounds during that time. And the last one was obviously a much more difficult round, but we still got a good valuation and it still worked out okay.
There are a lot of companies obviously at that time that didn't survive. What do you think you got right? Why were you able to survive?
Well, I think we had this idea then, and I think it's still the same, is if things do take longer than you think, they take a lot longer than you think they're going to take. And kind of being there is more important than spending all the money quickly, getting through it, is actually trying to work out that you need the longest possible runway always. And you need to always spread out, even if you think it's going well, you need to spread out the runway longer and longer until you are cash flow positive. But so, we got our round in June 2001. And then guess what happened on 9/11? And, the insurance industry after 9/11 ground to a halt for several months. And any deal we had stopped, everything stopped. We had no income, nothing, all just ground to a halt because of 9/11 sort of thing. So you never know what's coming your way. So you can't just crack on and spend money, and you've got to kind of protect yourself from the unknown really all the time.
Let's skip ahead a little bit to 2019 and the founding of MIC or MIC. So what was it about this problem in insurance that made you say, yep, that's it. I'm going to go back and build another company?
Craziness. I think that's what it was. No, so back in 2000 or so, I met my co-founder, Jamie Crystal, and we put some things together. And Jamie, and he worked for another company. I worked for all these other companies. And, we just kept in touch over like the 15-year period between then and 2019. And I went over to Jamie and sort of told the story of where I got to, which was, AI is coming along, machine learning, big data is here. The gig economy, sharing economy had made it, grown a need for insurance by the mile, by the project, by the night, by the job sort of type insurance. So, very short policies, not just the normal annual policies. And more people obviously had the mobile phone, which, a kind of a distribution network in people's pockets. So I came over to Jamie and said, look, all these things have come together in order to enable microinsurance to be a good thing. And we should set up a company. And well, I said, I'm thinking about setting up a company like this. What do you think? And he said, well, interesting enough, I've just bought microinsurance.com. He'd actually bought that URL literally 2 weeks before. So he was thinking about the same thing, and which is a big coincidence in many ways. So this is kind of really what brought us together, thinking about, the technology change, the infrastructure around the world, the sharing economy, the platform sort of businesses, the new platform businesses that are out there and evolving. And we thought this was the right time to start thinking about, putting an insurance company together specifically to focus on that sort of project.
This show is brought to you by Frontlines Media, a podcast production studio that helps B2B founders launch, manage, and grow their own podcast. Now, if you're a founder, you may be thinking, I don't have time to host a podcast. I've got a company to build. Well, that's exactly what we built our service to do. You show up and host, and we handle literally everything else. To set up a call to discuss launching your own podcast, visit frontlines.io/podcast. Now, back to today's episode. So you have that idea. What do the first 6 months look like?
So the first 6 months is really trying to work out what we thought we would be. So both of us were brokers. Our background is kind of broking. So we thought we'd like a broker. And so we thought we'd go and find some customers and then go and put the insurance together with some big insurance companies and work on individual projects. So I found 3 or 4 projects to do, like $500,000 each, couple of $1 million of work, and set about talking to the players like AIG and Munich Re and all those sorts of big companies. And basically the first 6 or 8 months took, despite having that work and despite having those projects and the clients wanting to do it, it took us a long time to get those companies to basically say, no, they don't want to do it. They thought it was too small or too difficult or not for them. And, we kind of got frustrated in the first sort of, 6 to 9 months with, we can't place this business individually like this. We couldn't operate like just a broker. So we started to turn ourselves into an insurance company. And so that we could actually say to the client, yes, we can do this. We've got the capacity, the ability as an insurer to do it, because of it took us going to insurance companies, asking them to work on these things was, there's kind of a lack of innovation, if you like, within the industry around these sorts of ideas. So we decided that we ought to become an insurance company so that we could say yes to these things. And that's what we did. So in 2020, we set up our first insurance entity and started to place insurance into that so that we could, and then work with clients. So that made it a lot easier for us to say, actually design products and then go and talk to clients about those products and our ideas and them accept it. And then we could place business and start writing business.
At what point did you start generating revenue from the founding of the company in 2019? How long did it take until revenue was coming in?
So the first bits of revenue were in the very early part of, in 2020. That's when the first revenues, came in. Yeah, that's when the first revenue came through the door. We also started then building out some of the tech solutions that we have today and doing that. And we have a team in the UK and India to do that. And we also then started to think about where we want to start selling this business, in terms of around the world. And we decided that we wanted to be, or we needed to be global in our founding, if you like. So, if you work with a lot of these platform companies, the new ones, they get global very quickly. If like an Uber or something like that, they can start in one country and then very quickly accelerate around the world and be in different countries. And we felt that there wasn't an insurance solution to sort of service that sort of company. So we've kind of built it into that, we started to build it into that type of company in those years and get that moving so that we can actually respond to these global clients.
What did that marketing strategy look like at that time? And then how has it evolved? What does the marketing strategy look like today?
So we've always thought we would be a B2B player. We would sell through brokers and sell through partners and not going direct. And that still stands today. So we sell where we've evolved. I think we used to go direct, trying to find individual clients. And that's hard work, if you like, finding these individual clients all the time. You need a big sales force. So we didn't want to do that. So we started to go through brokers and engaging the brokers, saying that we've got a market for you. We've got these products, we've got these ideas. And we started to go through that sort of broker network. And then the other thing we've done is also engaged with insurance companies around the world. So we work with insurance companies in India, in Saudi Arabia. We're starting to work in the Middle East, across America, and also in South America. So, the broker network is a really big thing for us, and also working with the insurance companies. And, we thought it was obvious to go to brokers, but going to insurance companies was a bit of a surprise in a way to us, despite our knowledge of the insurance industry, that they don't have this sort of product and they don't have this sort of knowledge and they don't have the technology. So we were there. We're like, we've got the technology to help you, which is like an insurtech, if you like, but we've actually got the capacity to back up the product as well. So we could sort of plonk that in to an insurance company and get them to give us their paper and front it for us in their country and then sell the product in their country. And, with our technology or, and our sort of know-how, that's kind of how we promote it through them. And that also enables us to have like a network of insurers around the world. If a platform company comes to us as well, we can actually go to that network and help place business around the world for that platform company. So it's quite a good balanced, synergistic sort of relationship we can have with, these large insurers now. We can innovate the product, manage it on our technology, bring the big players in to help us with the bigger capacity and also, to better place it around the world.
When it comes to your market category, how do you think about the category you're in? Is it embedded microinsurance or what does it look like?
Yeah. So, it is embedded. The word embedded microinsurance is a newish term. There's been many years, there's been program insurance, selling programs to companies. But the embedded nature is really similar to that, but different, right? So the way we, definitely embedded microinsurance, but it's the way it's placed into the channel, into the actual sales channel of the product. So it's allowing insurance to be sold right at the point of sale with another product that is relevant to the insurance sale. So we're not pushing some old product down somebody's throat, if you like. It's allowing the customer to go on his journey to buy whatever product they're looking at. So let's say they're buying, in our case, with rental, they're buying, taking a rent policy, a rental contract. Then as they take that out, we position my income product in that sales flow so that when they come to sort of agree to pay $1,500 a month for their rent, then we can also cover them for their loss of, if they lose their job, we can cover them for $1,500 a month for 3 or 4 months as well, sort of premium. So the people can then think, oh, right, I've got my rent. Oh, this is a good product. It protects me in case I lose my job. Tick, buy that. and it's all within the flow. They don't have to think about it by going to a broker or going somewhere else. It's all within that sort of flow to buy the insurance. Another one you see often is like lost luggage insurance when you're buying an airline ticket. It comes in the flow. You don't buy travel insurance kind of separately anymore. You go and buy it in the flow. So it's embedding it into other retail opportunities. And to do that, you need a very relevant and very simple product to sell and position there. And it allows the customer to pull that product along with what they want, rather than the insurance company pushing it down. I've got travel insurance. It's got 48 clauses in it. You ought to buy this. It's $500. No, I only want late flight and baggage. That's $10. And that's a more simple kind of product to buy, more relevant to most holiday travelers, if you like. So that's where the embedded nature, the changes I see from just being program insurance, which is what people think of as embedded insurance, to what we think of as embedded insurance is embedding it into the final point of sale, if you like.
This show is brought to you by the Global Talent Co., a marketing leader's best friend in these times of budget cuts and efficient growth. We help marketing leaders find, hire, vet, and manage amazing marketing talent for 50 to 70% less than their U.S. and European counterparts. To book a free consultation, visit globaltalent.co.
As you reflect on this journey so far, what do you think's been the most important go-to-market decision that you've made? And take us back on how you made that decision.
That's a difficult question. So I think we've really evolved selling, our selling process. We still sell through brokers, we still sell direct, and we still sell through our channel partner. And it's actually, I think, from my point of view, always is keeping that kind of broader multi-channel process open, rather than just saying, right, we're just going to focus on brokers. That's what we're going to do. We're going to focus on brokers in America. That's what we're going to do. What we've done is really focus on this global nature, hence MIC Global, and also had a kind of a multi-channel approach, which is, I think, different to a lot of SureTechs that we see. And that's really, I think, the important lesson that we've learned and working with is multi-channel kind of approach works, because it means that when we have opportunities come along, we've got solutions for them and we can work with them very well. The hard part about insurance is really the decision-making process around whichever channel you're in. The decision-making process can be quite long and challenging because of that. And, you've got to keep very focused and keep, you make sure that you've got client buy-in all the time, to make sure that you keep them on track as much as you're on track, because a lot of things change, during a 6 months or a year-long procurement process. And you've got to be able to sort of keep the client managed along that route. But, I think in terms of kind of go-to-market idea, which is multi-channel, I think that is something that we're still focused on and we still quite like.
Given your experience in insurance, I have to ask if you could give any advice to founders who are building insurance technology, what would be that top number one advice that you would give them?
Don't do it. Insurance companies, you've got to pick who you're going to sell it to. Insurance companies, they spend a lot of money on things, but, they take a long, long time to buy technology. This is why we aren't an insurtech. We are an insurance company enabled by technology. That's what we are. I've been selling technology in insurance for a long time. And the sales cycle, whether it's to brokers, if it's to insurance companies, is very, very long. And they all want semi-bespoke solutions. And it's very difficult to service them, I find. So if you can keep the system focused on one particular problem that helps, or a complete solution that is easier for them to use, like a modeling tool for hurricanes or wildfire or something. These are the things that they want, tools. But like a policy management system, I built my first policy management system in 1999, and I haven't really seen anything that's much different, despite everything that people say, even today. They're all the same. They're all just there. So don't build one of those. Build something that is smart and clever for people, really, and understand the need. You need to find a need first. Don't just think how the insurance industry works and you can solve their problems, because I don't think you can. It's difficult to just understand the industry. It's very multifaceted, and there's lots of people in it, and it's kind of challenging from that point of view.
Final question for you. Let's zoom out 3 to 5 years into the future. What's the big picture vision look like here?
Yeah, well, for us, we're seeing technology becoming much more important. the old word AI and all that stuff getting embedded into our systems, especially around claims management, customer service, fraud management, and the customer journey. So I think in 3 to 5 years, there's going to be a massive change in the adoption of technology into insurance. And for us, seeing, embedded microinsurance really take off because of people are looking at more risk, being risk adverse and looking at, new ways to offset their risks and, the ability to write a niche, small product just for that audience, then that's where I think you'll see a lot of that. And being able to do that quickly, efficiently, and manage it all on technology will enable insurance to penetrate, the mass markets, not just in America and South America, but around the world. And, potentially you could start to see an actual growth in the insurance numbers, that we're all excited to see.
Amazing. Well, I love that vision and I really love this conversation. Before we wrap up here, if there's any founders that are listening in that want to follow along with you and your journey as you build and execute, where should we send them?
Yeah, we just send them on to LinkedIn. That's the best way to get hold of me. I think I'm active on LinkedIn. I do look at the messages and filter out the ones I want to talk to. So if there's something interesting you want to have a chat about, I'm available.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
This episode of Category Visionaries is brought to you by Frontlines Media, Silicon Valley's leading podcast production studio. If you're a B2B founder looking for help launching and growing your own podcast, visit frontlines.io/podcast. And for the latest episode, search for Category Visionaries on your podcast platform of choice. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.